begin shortly. Please stand by. The webinar will begin shortly. Please stand by. The webinar will begin shortly. Please stand by. The webinar will begin shortly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. This is Peggy McKee. I just want to welcome you to the Stop Applying for Jobs and Get Hired Instantly webinar. So glad that you're here. We have a huge amount of people signed up for this webinar, so there's a lot of people joining us, and we're going to get started right now. Now, you should see me up on the live webcam here. I'm going to wave at you. Hi, Ben. Hi, Illinois, Atlanta, Ohio, all of the different people. Hello. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Peggy McKee. I am a recruiter, a career coach, and the CEO of Career Confidential, and I'll be presenting your webinar here today, how to stop applying for jobs and get hired instantly. Now, we reach out to folks like you all over the world through Amazon, through Barnes & Noble, Google Play apps, Apple apps, and of course our free webinars. And we have customers in more than 91 countries, over 16,000 customers like you who needed the advantage in the job search or in their career. All right, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take myself off a webcam so that I can focus on the presentation. At the end of the webinar, we are going to have a live Q&A, and Carl Chapman, he's my partner, he's running the webinar platform. He'll put me back up on webcam so that I can answer your questions face to face, okay? So I'm going to just turn off my webcam here. Welcome to everyone. I see that there's a lot of folks here. Welcome to the webinar. Okay, today we're going to share with you the best information you're ever going to hear about how to get a job, how to stop wasting your time applying for jobs that don't get you interviews, and instead I'm going to show you how to find employers who are excited to speak with you. Now, I advise that you close out everything but this webinar. Close Facebook, turn off Twitter, turn off your cell phones. I've tried to turn everything off because we're not going to want to miss not one single moment of the information we're going to give you here today. It's going to make a huge positive difference for you. Now, I will teach and train you for almost an hour. After that, I'll give you an opportunity for some additional training, and then we'll go to that live Q&A that we talked about. Because of the number of people that are on this webinar, I'd like to ask you to hold your questions until the end of the webinar. So if you think you have a great question that you absolutely want to ask, please hold it and then type it in at the end of the webinar, and I will have someone who will be giving me those questions so that I can answer those, and I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. All right. At the end of this presentation, I will also choose 10 lucky winners to receive a free 1-hour group coaching call with me, where we can talk about your individual situation and I can answer your specific questions. So you need to be present at the end in order to be eligible to win, and we will notify the winners by email. Let me show you how to participate with this webinar platform. It's a little different than you might not be used to it. I'm going to show you how you can participate, ask questions, and get your free gifts. If you look, the control panel's over on the right-hand side. There's three very important parts of that. There's the chat function, which I see Eric, Alicia, Sermon, Andy, Beth. These folks have already found the chat. Thank you so much. We've even got folks on here from Greece. I see that we've got one right here from Greece right now. So the chat function is there. You can chat in there. Then the polls tab is where I'm going to ask you some questions, and you'll use the polls tab to answer those. And we're going to deliver your free gifts to you through the pop-ins tab. So it's all about being on the appropriate tab. All right? Focus on the webinar. All of this will be waiting for you when the webinar is over. If you happen to hear multiple voices, it may be that one of our free gifts, or perhaps you have two versions of the webinar playing at one time. So check your browser tabs, and that'll help you figure that out. Okay, so let's start with our first free gift, and this is a good one. It's our e-report, How to Write Attention-Getting Cover Letters. Now, you can download this by following the instructions here on the screen. You do click on the pop-ins tab. I'm doing this as well so I can see, and then you'll just click on the download now button. It's going to open it up in another tab, and you can go there later to look at that. You don't have to be there now, because I want you to focus on what we're going to talk about here on the webinar. So let's get to that first question for you guys. I want to know where you are in your job search, and the very best way for me to figure that out is through one simple question. I need to know, do you have multiple interviews scheduled in the next 4 weeks? So do you have multiple interviews scheduled in the next 4 weeks? The way that you can answer this question for me is by going to the polls tab, and Carl has put the poll there for us. You have three choices. You can say, no, I do not have any interviews scheduled in the next 4 weeks, or no, I only have one interview scheduled, or yes, I have more than one interview scheduled in the next 4 weeks. So you just put your answer there, and in just a moment I'll ask Carl to give us the results of the poll, what you got, where you guys are, and where in your job search. You see, this interview thing is very important, because without an interview you can't get an offer. So it's like a key leading indicator of an offer. And there's some statistics out there that you need between 5 and 10 interviews to get an offer. Now, some folks think that you need up to 14 interviews. I know Tony Bashir says 17 interviews. I believe on AOL they're saying something like 15 interviews. LinkedIn has a poll that shows 5 to 6 interviews on a new college grad. But statistically, what we see is you need between 5 and 10 interviews to get an offer. So if you don't have those multiple interviews, you can't know that you're going to get an offer, right? Now, there's three things that hold people back from getting the offers that they and the interviews that they deserve. Number one, their cover letter just isn't strong enough. By the way, that's why I gave you that podcast, or that e-report on how to write that attention letter getting cover letter. The second thing is most of you just don't have a resume that's as strong as you are. You need to make your resume be as strong as you are. If you're fantastic and your resume doesn't show it, they're not going to call you for an interview. So these resumes have to be stronger, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Lastly, if you're applying for jobs online, filling out those long, laborious applications with all that intrusive questioning, that is not the way to get interviews. That's a way to go into an applicant tracking system and have HR screen you out. So to get interviews, what you need to do is be in front of the actual person who would be your boss or your boss's boss in the new job. This person is the hiring manager, and he or she is the ticket to getting hired. So Carl, are you able to give us the results of the poll? Let's find out how many folks have multiple interviews here. So in this webinar, only 10% of the folks have multiple interviews. It looks like 90%, all right, adds up to 89%, so we must have 1% floating around out there. 90% do not have multiple interviews. So this is obviously why you're here in this webinar, is because you want to know how to stop applying and how to get hired, right? So you're in the right place. Thank you so much for your information there, and let's get going. Now, there are big issues for almost every job seeker, all kinds of pain, frustration, and rejection. And we're going to turn frustration into success. There's no reason why each and every one of you can't be wildly successful in your job. I'm going to show you how to do that now. You can't get an interview unless you have a great resume. So we're going to talk about that first, how you can have a killer resume. I'm going to show you how to find great jobs in your space, whatever that is, and how to get in front of the hiring manager. Remember, the hiring manager is your boss or your boss's boss. That's because there's no point in getting interviews if you don't crush them as well, right? So you get in front of your boss's boss, you get an interview, you need to crush it and get the offer. So our last piece that we're going to talk about is how you can be your absolute best in every interview and stand out head and shoulders above all the others. Now, all of this is going to work together for you to give you a great advantage, and it's going to be the best advantage you can possibly have in your job search. You will not be like everyone else after this. You will finally know how to make things happen in that job search, and you will get hired. Now, most job seekers think that you need to spend time on Monster or Career Builder or some online job board looking for job listings following their instructions, right? You apply for these jobs and then you wait for them to call. This is the system that they have established, and you don't want to buck the system. They might get mad at you and not call, right? But think about this. The system is already not working for you. 90% of you do not have more than one interview. So this system that's going online, it's not working. And I know you know this is true because you've probably filled out a ton of these applications and gotten no response, no phone call, no offer for an interview, nothing. So that time and effort is wasted. So what is happening to your application that you're spending so much time on? And it's killing your chances. That's what it's happening. It's killing your chances to get noticed and get an interview because it's sucking up your time and it's not giving you the outcome that you need. Now, Albert Einstein is credited with having said this particular phrase, and I love it. It's the definition of insanity: to do something over and over again and expect a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So basically what that means is if you keep applying for jobs and it's not working for you, well, that would be insane, wouldn't it? So I'm going to tell you how you can stop being crazy and start getting interviews and then offers. Why doesn't applying work for you? When you apply for a job, you're going to apply online. What does that mean? Well, if you've seen the job listing, 1,000 others have, and they're filling out that same application. And your application is going straight into a database. It's going to be searched for specific and perfect terms. Human Resources is going to look for someone who's perfect. They don't want someone who's too old, too young, too experienced, not experienced enough, whatever it is. And even if you happen to have the very perfect search terms, it'll be Human Resources that'll see you first. And their job is to screen you out. They get complaints if they don't screen people. So if your wording isn't perfect, they're not going to pass you along. More importantly, if you're not in front of the hiring manager, you're not in front of the person who can hire you. Human Resources can say no and not pass you along. All they do when they say yes is they pass you along. The hiring manager is the one who's motivated to fill the position, who's familiar with the job, and can see your transferable skill sets, right? This is the person who can say you're hired. It's in your best interest to skip Human Resources and HR and that online application and go straight to this hiring manager. Now, did you notice that not one of the reasons that I just gave you had anything to do with you or how well you did your job or how great of an employee you would be? It's all about the system that you're operating in, not you. They built this system for their success, not yours. So do not worry if you've been doing this and haven't had success. Today's your lucky day. You're going to completely turn this around with what I'm going to show you. There are 3 areas that I've got to help you with in order to get this done. Number 1, your resume. As I said, many of you do not have a strong enough resume. Number 2, you've got to get interviews, and many interviews, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then number 3, I'm going to show you how to do absolutely your best in these interviews and get offers. So let's get started. I told you there was a lot we had to go over here today. Let's get started with that resume piece. The vast majority of job seekers do not have a good resume. I recently looked at a group of over 250 resumes. There was only 2 in there that didn't have a critical mistake or problem that would have held a person back. So unless you're perfect, there's probably some room on your resume for some improvement and selling yourself. So let's talk about this. Most people look at their resume as a job history that lists out the job, what they did, and they think that's good. That is not good. Your resume is first and foremost a marketing document for you. It's what the employer sees first, and it's what they use to decide whether or not to call you in for an interview. So your resume has to sell you for the job. It has to market you. Now, you can't just make things up, and you do have to have your previous jobs listed there. Here's the key. The key is in how you present that information that makes the difference as to whether this is an ineffective job history or an effective marketing document. The three biggest mistakes that I see people making in their resume are that they don't have objective statements, they don't use bullet points, they have big paragraphs, and they don't quantify their accomplishments. I'm going to guess all of you have some of this going on your resume. Objective statements. You will see advice telling you not to include this on the resume, and that advice would be wrong. Listen to me, you'll understand. Remember, you don't control who sees the resume first. Are they going to know within a shadow of a doubt which department you should even go to? An objective says what job you want, and that will get it to the right person. Secondly, a good objective is going to tell the hiring manager how you're going to make their life easier. That's one of the reasons you want to tailor it for each job that you send it in for. You're speaking to the hiring manager about that job and telling them why they want to keep reading. Your objective statement is a fantastic place to add keywords to your resume. Keywords are what will help it get pulled up by those company databases that we talked about. The trick here is to use the same keywords that the company uses. A lot of companies will use different words for the same thing. For instance, lean, Six Sigma, continuous improvement. Those are all basically the same thing. You need to find out which one the company is using and use that. Quick tip here. Let's say that you're going for a job where you don't have the exact experience, so you can't say it on your resume. You could say seeking a position as X, whatever X is, that happens to be the job title, and this gives you a keyword that will help your resume get pulled up in the search. Your objective sells you for the job. It's like a headline or an elevator pitch that highlights what you're bringing to the organization. Here's an effective objective statement for you guys to see. I made it this way so that you could use it as well. I've got accounting manager, so obviously you can insert your title, CFO, CTO, director of IT, accounting manager, sales representative, whatever your title is, seeks a role that utilizes his or her industry, medical, manufacturing, retail, whatever it is, experience and leadership skills. Now maybe the difference is yours is not experience and leadership skills, maybe it's something else, but look at what we know about this. She's told us it's accounting, this is the job she's looking for. She's told us she has a leadership background, and we have industry, so that'll tell us the industry that she has experience in. Many accountants work in many different areas. You might not want to be as specific with the industry. But this is going to get the attention of her hiring manager, isn't it? In this case, it'd be a CFO or other hiring manager. They're going to understand how she fits within the organization. Your objective statement doesn't have to be just like this one, but it will serve you well if it does. It tells who you are, what you want, and highlights a selling point. The selling quality of a good objective is going to serve you so much better than those summaries. Summaries don't sell you, they just summarize. They don't do anything for you. They don't sell you. They don't help them see you in the job. Now, it leads the reader to guess as to what you might do for them and why they might want you. So what's the next thing that kills your resumes, or a big opportunity for you? It's bullet points. Okay, bullet points. Make it very attractive. Your resume is a marketing document, which is like advertisement. You want your advertising to be as attractive as possible. Bullet points will give you white space, which draws your eye and catches your attention. The bite-sized pieces of bullet points are much faster and easier to read than paragraphs. The hiring manager is a busy person, right? If they're busy, how much time do you think they're going to take to read a paragraph? The answer is none. They won't. They're motivated to fill the job, but they won't be forced to read a paragraph. You could have the winning lottery number buried in one of those big paragraphs. If they don't see it, it doesn't work for you. So can you see bullet points communicate better than paragraphs? Now, each job that you've had should have bullet points under the title that describe what you did in that job. They shouldn't say responsible for X, Y, or Z. They should explain what you accomplished in the job, not what you were responsible for. You could have been responsible and not actually done it, right? So let's use action words like managed, team, led campaign, organized project, improved efficiency, reduced turnover, won award. See, action, powerful, specific, achievement oriented. This is a powerful, energetic way to sell yourself. Now there's another piece to this bullet point piece, and this makes the magic happen. It's the biggest opportunity for each and every one of you. It's called quantification of your accomplishments. What does it mean to quantify? It means describing your accomplishments in terms of numbers, dollars, or percentages. This is the number one place where people fail to make their resume shine. This is the one thing alone that can make a world of difference in how your resume represents you as a candidate. Now, you might think you can only quantify your resume if you sold something, but that is just simply not true. You can add numbers to describe almost anything. how many direct reports you had, production numbers increased, decreased, project budgets, schedules, how often were you on time, how often did you deliver ahead of time, turnover rate, did you decrease turnover, projects, number of projects handled, success rate of those projects, cost of those projects, right? Accuracy, rankings. You know, there's rankings in all kinds of places. It's not just sales. Sales, of course, but customer service, customer satisfaction, service engineers have ranking, production has rankings. There's a lot of rankings, okay? Sales, did you create something that increased sales? Revenue, did you make sales? Did you decrease refunds? Customer numbers, how many customers did you deal with? Any procedure that improved anything in any way. Did you create a system that saved time? How did you affect the things in your role? Did you increase or decrease the numbers? Did you save time? Did you increase efficiency? What did you improve? Okay? Now, any way that you contributed to revenue, growth, or profit for the company can be described using numbers, dollars, or percentages. Let me show you how powerful this is. Look at the difference between these two things. Responsible for bringing in new clients versus brought in 20 new clients in 3 months, right? Or responsible for maintaining database accuracy becomes achieved 100% accuracy in a 50,000 item database over 2 years. Responsible for keeping units occupied becomes maintained 95% occupancy rate over 3 years. So not only did we get rid of responsible for, and we added those specific action words, but we quantified this and it made it much more descriptive and powerful. Just looking at this page, can you see how very, very important the numbers, dollars, and percentages are on the right-hand side? Okay, let's go to poll number 2. Carl, if you're able to, I would like for you to put up the second poll. Here we are. If your resume grabbed the attention, so go to the polls tab and you'll see it there. If your resume grabbed the attention of the hiring manager, would you get more interviews? And you can answer yes, I would, or no, I would not. And then click the vote button. In a moment, I'll ask Carl to give us those results. So go to the polls tab and answer the question for me. Be sure and hit the click vote button or we won't get your answers. And here's what I want to tell you. So I've been recruiting for over 15 years, and I have relationships with companies where I can guarantee an interview. If I think the candidate is a fit, I can guarantee an interview with that company, even without presenting the resume. But before I present any candidate, I always make them go back, take out any paragraphs, and add numbers, dollars, and percentages to their resume before I send it in. So why would I do that? Why would I have them change their resume, add the numbers, dollars, and percentages, put that quantification in there, make sure we've got bullet points, no big paragraphs? Why would I do that when I've already got a guaranteed interview, right? So that's a very important question. Let's see, Carl, are you able to give us the poll results? I want to see what the folks said, and then I'm going to answer why I do that. Let's see. Oh, so 99% are saying, absolutely, I would get more interviews if my resume grabbed the attention of the hiring manager. So we're all on board so far. The reason I make my candidates add the numbers, dollars, and percentages and make sure that they have bullet points and not big paragraphs is because this will give them a better starting position. It will set a bias for them. The candidate will be perceived to have more value. Let me show you two comparisons, a candidate A and a candidate B. Here's candidate A. This candidate has numbers, dollars, and percentages. Now, guess what? Candidate B is going to be the same exact candidate, but no numbers. Let's take a look at that one. Ooh, big difference, right? Big difference. So we got to have those numbers, dollars, and percentages, right? Now, the way it's played out with hiring managers that I've worked with over 15 years, when you quantify your accomplishments, it's well worth that time and energy because it attracts their attention. It gets their interest. Managers deal with numbers, dollars, and percentages, right? So let's go to poll number 3, Carl, if we can. And let's go ahead and ask the folks, would you like some specific training, a resume template that has all of these key elements that we've discussed, and for me to personally review your resume to make sure that it is an interview magnet? Now you've got a couple choices there. You can say, yes, I want a better resume that gets more interviews, or no, I can do it on my own and do not need the review, or no, I'm getting all the interviews that I need to get the job. So answer the question which is best for you, hit the vote button, and again, in a moment, we'll get Carl to give us those results. Now, we review resumes from around the world. Most of our clients are in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Dubai, Nigeria, Spain, Italy, and Switzerland, to name a few. Over 90 countries. And I don't speak all those languages. You may need to translate it into English if you want me to review it. I can certainly tell you if the numbers, dollars, and percentages are there, and I can tell you about the formatting without having it in English. But if you need a deeper review, I'll have to have it in English. But the job of the resume, and this is what's important to get, the job of the resume is the same in every country, every language. And that is, it's to get you the interview. This is what hiring managers use to decide whether they're going to call you in for an interview or not. Okay, Carl, are we able to have the results from the poll with the folks like specific training and my personal review? Let's see. Okay, so it looks like 78% yes, I want a better resume that gets more interviews. No, I think I can do it on my own. 20% think that, and 2% are getting the interviews that they need already. So 78% are saying, hey, absolutely, this kind of specific training would help me get more interviews and get more offers, right? Okay, once you have your resume whipped into shape, then it's your job to get it in front of the person who needs to see it. And in this case, this is the hiring manager. Who would your hiring manager be? Well, the hiring manager for an accountant would be a director of accounting, an accounting manager, or a CFO. The hiring manager for a salesperson would be a regional sales manager, a national sales manager, a district sales manager, or the VP of sales and marketing. The hiring manager for a marketing person could be the VP of marketing, a director of marketing, or a senior product manager. The hiring manager for a customer service person could be a customer service supervisor, a VP of sales and marketing. An engineer could report to the director of engineering, might report to the VP of R&D, might report to division manager. Scientists report to principal investigators, VPs of R&D, and division managers. The IT person can report to the director of IT, VP of technology, and the manager of a specific division. In fact, when I worked for Bio-Rad Laboratories, I was in the sales and marketing division. We had an IT person that reported to our VP to support us specifically. So, if you don't get your resume to the hiring manager, you won't get results, which means you spend a lot of time applying and you never hear back, and you're going to start wondering what's wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with this system. You're stuck in human resources. Now, I know that some of you are going to say, well, Peggy, I thought their job was to find people for the hiring manager to interview. But remember that I told you that human resources is looking for a perfect resume. Is yours perfect? Do you have exactly what they're looking for? The exact words, the exact experience? Probably not. Could you do the job and do it well? Maybe. If you can do the job well and you don't have exactly what HR is asking for, then they will not help you. They will be an obstacle for you to get past. I want you to go straight past them, straight to the hiring manager. Now, when you get your resume to the hiring manager, you get it to the person who understands the job best and can see how your skills transfer, the person who's most motivated to fill the position because he's carrying the responsibility, and guess what? This is the person who has the power to say yes. HR can't say yes. They can only say no. So skip them. We don't need them for a gatekeeper. So how do you find hiring managers to contact? Well, the answer is research. You're going to have to Google them. Look for them on LinkedIn and Facebook and Spoke and Jigsaw and corporate websites, and ask your network anywhere you can think of to dig up the names and email addresses or phone numbers of a hiring manager in your area. It's not as easy as looking for jobs on a job board, but it's a whole lot more productive, and you will be a lot better off in the end. Okay, the key is to find those hiring managers who might be a potential boss for you, and then contact them whether or not they have a job posted. Did you hear that? I don't care if they have a job opening listed on Monster or Career Builder or any other corporate website. Contact them regardless. At any given time, you may not realize this, a majority of the jobs are never posted. Different reasons for all of this. It's called the hidden job market. It's been estimated to be anywhere from 50 to 80% of the jobs. This means that there are twice as many jobs as you know about that are available to you. And when you contact hiring managers, you put yourself in front of 100% of the hiring managers. Okay? By contacting them, you find those jobs, all of them, and you put yourself in the front of the line because other job seekers won't be doing this. So to crack the hidden job market, all you have to do is choose hiring managers who could be your boss at places that you'd like to work. So this slide right here is basically well, I'm sorry, I was going to show you. The slide that we were showing you was where AOL, LinkedIn, and Google, what they're saying about the hidden job market, right? Forbes is saying it's 80% that's never posted. AOL is saying it's 50% that's never posted. And LinkedIn is saying that it's 70% that's never posted, right? So I want you to crack the hidden job market. And the way that you do this is you choose hiring managers who could be your boss at places you'd like to work. And you say, hey, here I am. Here's what I do. This is what I could do for you. Are you interested? The key is to find those hiring managers regardless of whether they have a job and to contact them directly. Now this might seem bold and scary, but it's actually easier than it seems. And the truth is, there's no better way for you to find all of the jobs, and you won't find them unless you do this. And the jobs you'll find this way, guess what? Will be fantastic. If you contact enough hiring managers, something even better is going to happen. You're going to start winning the job search numbers game. And what is the job search numbers game? Well, it works like this. If you were to contact 20 hiring managers, you might hear back from 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 if you're lucky. Statistically, this is how it works. What if you contacted 200? Then you're talking to 10 to 20 hiring managers. Don't you think it'd be better to be talking to 20 hiring managers who are interested in you than 2? This will give you the odds of finding the job that fits you and that you'll be happy with. The more you contact, the more interviews you get. So let's go to another poll. I want to have Carl put up another poll. I'd like to know, if you contacted 100 plus hiring managers, would you have more interviews? If you contacted 100 plus hiring managers, would you have more interviews? And there's the poll. Let me give you your choices here. You can say, yes, I would, but I don't know how to find them. Or yes, I would, but I don't know what to say to them. Or just, yes, I would. Or no, I would not. And then click the vote button, and in just a moment again, I'll have Carl tell us what you guys said. So I do one-on-one personal coaching. I do it for $250 an hour. It is the fastest, most personal way to job search success. I recently had a candidate from Florida, a gentleman, sales guy, very aggressive, very, very good. And he'd been looking for a role for 4 months, and he'd only found one mediocre offer. I asked him how many hiring managers he thought he'd actually been in front of, and he said 10. I asked him why he thought he'd been in front of 10. He said, well, I applied to 45 jobs. I had 5 face-to-faces. I'm pretty sure none of the rest of them hardly even saw me, so I'm just going to say 5 more saw me and decided not to interview me. But I know I didn't get in front of all 45 of those jobs, right? And so I said, what would happen if you contacted 100 or 200 hiring managers? And he's like, well, that's easy to see. I'd have 10 times the conversations, 10 times the offers, 10 times the opportunities. I'd have choices. And so what I did was I coached him to get in front of 200 managers because I wanted him to have an amazing job search with multiple offers and then get to choose the best one. And here's what he said. He said, you know, and remember, he's a very aggressive, very sharp guy. He said, you know, I didn't even know you could do this. I didn't know how to do this. I can't believe this. What a difference. This changes everything. And what I'm teaching you here is that significant because I'm teaching you the same thing I'm teaching him. You got to get in front of those hiring managers. So, Carl, what do the folks say about contacting 100 plus hiring managers? Will they have more interviews if they did that? Let's see those results. There we go. Okay. It looks like 98% are saying absolutely yes, we would. And about a third of those are unsure of how to find them. Another third is unsure of what to say to them. And that's about what we see. So let me help you with that. This strategy of proactively contacting the hiring manager by dozens or even hundreds is going to take you less time and get you more interviews than all of the days, weeks, and months you put into those applications. Okay? I've personally seen this happen over and over again for candidates for all kinds of career fields with all levels of experiences in parts of the world, all parts of the world. If you doubt that this kind of effort is worth it, then I want you to think about this. What would happen if you got a job just 4 weeks faster, just 1 month faster by doing what I'm telling you to do? You could put thousands in your pocket. If you usually make $30,000 a year, if you shave 4 weeks off your job search, that's an additional $2,500 in your pocket. If you usually make $60,000 a year, by shaving 4 weeks off of your job search, that's a $5,000 check for your family. And if you usually make more than $100,000 a year, you will earn a nifty $10,000 by shaving 1 month off of that job search. Now, in reality, the typical job search lasts from 6 to 9 months. But people who use this strategy, they have a different experience. They get a job in a month or 2 at most. So instead of putting just 1 extra month's pay in your pocket, it puts a minimum of 4 months' pay in your pocket. So take all those paychecks and multiply by 4, and that is what this is worth to you. Somewhere between $10,000 to $40,000 is what you will gain by doing and executing on this strategy that I'm showing you here. Now, this kind of benefit is worth every resource you can put your hands on. You need to do whatever you need to do, even if it's uncomfortable. You deserve this. You deserve to have the job you want. Now, this brings us to the third piece of training. Remember, I told you I had to talk to you about your resume. I had to talk to you about how to get in front of those hiring managers. And now I want to show you how to be the best you can be in your interview. You need to crush your interview. Crushing your interview means to overwhelm them with your amazing qualities and you're fit for the job so that you absolutely get the offer. Once you get an interview, you cannot fail to crush it. You don't get many interview opportunities in today's environment. You can't afford to throw them away. You need to bring your best game. So crushing the interview requires 2 things. 1, you need to answer the critical questions every hiring manager has, right? And then 2, you got to clarify that you've communicated what you think you communicated. Okay? So both of these are communication issues, and good interviews come down to the quality of that communication. So let's go to the first one. Hiring managers have 4 critical concerns. They want to know if you understand the job. Can you really do this job? Will you really do this job? Are you going to get me fired? That fourth one, really, that's nicer speak. Will you pose a risk to his or her own continued employment? But really what they mean by that is, are you going to get me fired? See, these are risk assessment questions. Hiring you is a risk to that hiring manager. Now, the first 2 questions speak to knowledge, ability, and skill sets. Right? The third question is different. It could be work ethic or a focus issue. You can have all the knowledge and ability in the world, but if you're not willing to work hard or if you can't focus, it won't matter. Now, do you pose a risk to his or her own continued employment? This is the most important one of all. This person's reputation is on the line. Their boss wants to know that they have the judgment to choose good people who can get things done. If you don't get them done or you do them badly, the blame rests on them. Their own job is at risk. Now, they won't ask these things right out, but they weigh heavily in the back of their mind, and if you don't answer them to the satisfaction, they're not going to hire you. So the best way that I have ever seen to address these unspoken concerns and to answer those questions and minimize the risk to hiring you is to bring a tool with you to the interview. And this is called the 30, 60, 90-day plan. A 30, 60, 90-day plan is a written outline of your tasks and goals for the first 3 months on the job. Every job has critical tasks that must be accomplished in order to be successful. A 30, 60, 90-day plan will list those tasks out so that the hiring manager knows who you are and that you're going to be able to do this. Now, the first days usually focus on training or learning the systems or the culture. The next 30 days concentrate on getting more involved and doing things on your own. And the last 30 days shows how you're starting to make a significant contribution to the company as a fully fledged contributing member of the organization. The more specific that you can be to the job and to the company, the better off you are. For example, if you could find out the name of the training that they put their new employees through, or the software, is it Oracle? Do they have a customer relationship management program? Is it Salesforce.com? Do they use something else that has a name? Put this in your plan. You might have guessed by now that putting this plan together takes a lot of research. And since you must bring it to the face-to-face interview, you have to do this research before you even know that you have the job. Every single second of the effort is worth it because it will impress the hiring manager and it will answer those 4 critical questions. It shows that you understand the job even if you've never done anything like it before, because you're talking about the tasks and the critical things that must be done in order for you to be successful. It shows that you can do the job because you've just listed out the specific tasks and how you're going to handle those. It shows that you will do the job because you've spent hours putting this together, right? And it's a vivid demonstration that you are someone who will do whatever it takes in order to be successful. And that demonstration is really important. It speaks to your work ethic in the strongest, most powerful way. When you put this all together, you eliminate every risk factor in the hiring manager's mind. Let me tell you about Derek. He wrote us an email telling us about his experience. He had been out of a job for 5 years. His wife had died and he had to take care of his young children. So for those of you who have a very long employment gap, or you're concerned about an employment gap, Derek had a 5-year employment gap. And then he was having trouble getting interviews, and then when he got invited to an interview, it went dreadfully. And this was a job he could have done with his eyes closed. So Derek invested in himself, got the Career Confidential 30, 60, 90-day plan, right? When he went to the interview, he took the plan, and although he was turned down for that job, guess what? The manager said he was the best prepared candidate he'd ever seen, and as a company, they'd be mad to let him go. So he was actually invited back for a more senior role. He did the plan for all of that, extended the task, and guess what? He was offered this more senior job on a good salary with a promise of another review on that salary at 6 months. So he actually got to define his own dream job. So what do we learn from Derek? Here's a gentleman, he's got a big old career gap, 5 years, right? He was qualified to do the job, could have done the job with his eyes closed, and yet he's not getting any offers, no offers. Then he takes the detailed, comprehensive 30, 60, 90-day plan to his next interview. Not only does he get a job, which in itself would be enough for many of us, right? Okay? Not only does he get a job, he gets a bigger job than the one he was interviewing for, and he makes more money. So Derek's plan story shows that with the plan, he was able to communicate more effectively, right, with the hiring manager. Nothing changed about Derek. It's all about his communication, his ability to say, hey, I've thought a lot about what could be used to be successful in this job. I've put together this outline, and I want to go over it with you. And see, as you go through it with them, you'll ask questions, you'll get input, and you'll discuss. And all of a sudden, this interview that you're having will be unlike any other that you've had. You won't be just answering questions and hoping that your answer sounds better than the next guy. You're having a conversation. You're building rapport. You've put you and that hiring manager on the same team, right? And guess what? As you go through this conversation, he or she is going to visualize you working for him, and that's going to get you a very long way toward the offer. Now, visualization is a powerful technique. Salespeople do this all the time. If you go to buy a car, what do? They want to get you in the driver's seat. They want you to test it. They're going to ask you some questions, find out what's important to you. Is it style? Is it functionality? Is it gas mileage? And then they're going to speak about those points that most matter to you. When you discuss your plan with the hiring manager, I want you to do the same thing. Take him or her for a test drive. Let them visualize you in the job. So this brings us to another poll question I want to ask. I want to find out if you brought a detailed, comprehensive 30, 60, 90-day plan to your interview, would you get more offers? If you brought a detailed, comprehensive 30, 60, 90-day plan to the interview, would you get more offers? Now you got a couple choices here, right? You can say yes, but I don't know how to put one together. Yes, but I'm not sure how to present it. Yes, and I'm already bringing it to the interviews, which would be fantastic. Or no, I don't think the plan would work. and then you hit the vote button, and I'll ask Carl for those results here in just a second. I had a pretty vivid demonstration myself about this 30, 60, 90-day plan. I had a candidate in Southern California that was interviewing for a medical role. She did not take a 30, 60, 90-day plan to the interview. I was in a unique situation. I knew all of the candidates. I had a great relationship with the hiring manager. I knew the whole process, and my candidate was the strongest candidate. But guess what? After the interviews, I got a call from the manager. They're going with another candidate. Why? Well, this other candidate brought a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and she was able to show the value that she could bring to the company. And this is why each and every one of you must take one of these to your first face-to-face interview. Because if the other candidate comes with a plan and communicates better than you, you could lose the job. And that is the lesson that I learned. And so all of my candidates for the first face-to-face have to have a 30, 60, 90-day plan, because I have witnessed how powerful that is. Okay, Carl, can you give us the results? What do the folks think? Do they think they'd get more offers if they had a detailed, comprehensive 30, 60, 90-day plan? Let's see. Okay, here we go. We got results. All right, so 41% are saying yes, but I'm not sure how to put one of these together. 38% are saying yes, but I'm not sure how to present it. Need help there. 16% are already doing it. Way to go. Keep going. Yeah, that's going to work for you. Keep going. I'm very pleased to hear that. 5% don't think the plan will work. I'm not sure what to say about that, because I can tell you that it's not up for debate. It works. So basically, there are 79% of you guys who are not taking a 30, 60, 90-day plan right now, and you need to be. You're a little uncomfortable because you don't know how to put it together, and you're not sure how to present it. So we'll talk about that a little bit more here. When you bring the plan, the hiring manager is going to get an up-close look at your critical thinking skills, your knowledge, your drive, your energy, your enthusiasm. And these are things you can't put on a resume, but they can have a major impact on you as a candidate. Now, the questions that you ask while you're discussing plans are going to help you clarify that you're communicating what you need to in order to get the job. So you're going to say, I thought I would get this training. Is that right? I thought if I tackled this first, it would make it easier to do X later. Do you agree? Does this make sense, or would you like me to elaborate further on this? Am I on the same page as what you're thinking? Do I have this right? The answers that you're going to get to these kinds of questions will give you big, big clues about what they are most interested in. And so you got to really listen. If they're interested in X, don't talk about Y, talk about X. This is the kind of powerful information that comes out of this conversation, and it will help you make your interview performance even stronger, right? And here's the very best question of all that you can ask when you bring a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And that is, if I were to do all of the things that I have on this plan, do you agree that I would be wildly successful in the job? Okay? If I were to do all of the things that I have on this plan, do you agree that I would be wildly successful in this job? This question is a game changer. It boosts your chances of getting the job by 30 to 40%. Because if they say yes to you in the interview, well, then you know that you've done well. And if they say no, then you can address whatever the objection is before you leave the interview, which is really, really important. I've seen candidates save job offers that they wouldn't have gotten when they asked this question. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Let's go back to the polls tab. And Carl, if you could put up the poll for us, what I want to know is, would you like some specific training on how to put together this 30, 60, 90-day plan that includes my coaching and for me to personally review your finished plan? So would you like specific training on how to make a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and it includes the training and coaching from me with my personal review of your plan? Now you have three choices there. Yes, I know the training and review will make my plan better. No, I think I can do it myself and do not need you to review my plan. Or no, I don't think the 30, 60, 90-day plan will work. And again, I'll get Carl to give us those results in just a moment. Now, the quality and construction of your plan really matters. Sometimes I have people who come to me and they'll say, well, I took a 30, 60, 90-day plan to the interview and it didn't work for me. And so my first question to them is, did you take the Career Confidential plan? And they say no. And I say, send me your plan, let's take a look at it. And I'll tell you the two biggest mistakes that we see. And that is a person who thinks they put together a plan, but it's just 25 lines. It's not significant, it's not substantial, it's not thought out, and in fact, it probably damaged them in the interview. Or the other person who thinks they put together a plan, but they kind of got sidetracked and they really put together like this 10-page book on why you should hire me. See, and that doesn't work because that's still talking about you versus this plan is talking about the problem that needs to be solved. So don't go to the interview without the very best plan you can get your hands on. You can't take the chance of being in there and not having a plan that's going to work for you. And you'll get my proven plan and an expert review to make sure that you're stepping out on the right foot in this interview. I review plans for job seekers just like I review resumes, and it really makes a difference. Sometimes you just need to have someone look at what you're doing with an outside perspective and insider knowledge. A quick check by me could be what will get you the best job of your life. Okay, so I'm going back to the polls tab. I'm going to ask Carl to give us the results to let us know how many folks want the specific training on the 30, 60, 90-day plan with my coaching and my personal review. Let's see. Okay, I'm on the polls tab. Here we go. All right. So 75% are saying absolutely, the training and the review will make my plan better. 24% say they can do it on their own, and 2% I don't think the plan will work. Okay, so the majority of you understand how this could make a big difference in your experience. Now, I would never go to a job interview without one of these plans because of how I've seen them work. It's too big of a risk to go without one. Pete Carr was a gentleman that had 30 years of experience. He was actually getting a lot of interviews, but no offer. So finally, at his final interview, he took the Career Confidential 30, 60, 90-day plan, and not only did they hire him, they hired him for a job that was a level above the one that he had applied for. So like Derek, right? He even got a job that was bigger than the one he was looking for. Jesse got my plan, and in his quote when he sent me the email, it said that he felt like the undefeated champion of the world before he ever even stepped into the interview. Imagine if you could go into an interview with that kind of confidence. He also received a higher position than he was applying for with a higher salary. Now, we talked about Derek, and he impressed the company so much that they actually created a position for him. Then we have a college graduate who came to us and said that he got his plan, he did his plan for his job for a smaller company, and they hired him because they wanted to use his plan as a standard training program. And he was the first one. So they loved it, right? These plans are that impressive. They really elevate your game. They elevate the conversation that you have, and they elevate you as a candidate. And when they make you an offer, you'll have more negotiation power, and you'll be able to get a higher salary. And think about this. All of your raises in the future will be based on a percentage of salary that you get in this new job. This one action right here will affect your financial future for the rest of your life, right? Job seekers from all kinds of career fields can use these plans. Sales, manufacturing, operations, accounting, administrative assistance, engineering, IT, nursing, pharma, marketing, logistics, architecture, finance, insurance, lab research, healthcare, retail, law, education. We've even seen people get jobs at Disney World using this. All white-collar jobs. For new graduates it works, for individual contributors, managers, executives, directors, C-levels, it works. No matter what field you're in or what level you're at, having a plan for success is going to show your value to the hiring manager and make it an easy decision to hire you. Now, when they're deciding between candidates, hiring managers don't want a coin toss. They really don't. They want a very clear winner. So, to show that hiring manager that you are the clear winner, you must do the things that we talked about here today. You need to turn your resume into a marketing document instead of just a job history. You need to use objective statements, bullet points, and quantification to grab their attention and to set a bias. Then stop applying for jobs. This goes through HR. It hasn't worked for you. Stop doing it. This is the person who has, you need to go to the hiring manager. Stop going to HR. The hiring manager has the power. They also have the motivation to hire you. Answer the 4 critical questions of every hiring manager and communicate more effectively in the interview by bringing the 30, 60, 90-day plan. Now, all of this is about how to sell yourself for the job. The job search is a sales process. You are the product for sale because you want someone to hire you. Your customer is the hiring manager. Your job is to show them your value and make them want to choose you. The normal process of applying for a job keeps you away from your customer. You can't make a sale if you're not talking to the person with the money in the pocket, and that's the hiring manager, and they also have the problem that needs to be solved. This is a fundamental difference and change in approach to your job search. It's very different than what you've probably done before. When you get this concept and you put this into place, you're going to go from struggling, no interviews, discouraged, to getting interviews. You're going to be excited about those interviews, and then you're going to get job offers. And I told you at the beginning that I was going to give you a chance to get some additional training, and here it is. So based on what we've learned here today, if you feel that these are areas of your job search where you know you need more help, then I have the tools and training that will help you. You don't have to get this training. Take what you've learned here today. You're going to have a much better job search just from this. Without it, you wouldn't have as good a job search. But not everyone has the time to spare to figure this stuff out. And if you know you need help because you need a job immediately, here's how. Remember I told you that 50 to 80% of all the open and available jobs aren't even advertised? I told you about the hidden job market. And the only way to find those jobs is to go directly to the hiring managers. Now this is an easy concept to talk about, but very difficult to execute, and it takes a lot of time. So what I've done is I've put together a tool, a system that practically does it for you. It's called the Hidden Jobs Finder. It's comprehensive, and it's a foolproof system that will uncover hidden jobs and put you in the front of the line for those jobs. It's going to help you find and contact hundreds of hiring managers with clear, detailed, step-by-step instructions. There'll be no guesswork, and there'll be no mistakes. Job seekers say this found great jobs they didn't even know existed, and it got them interviews. Okay? Now, I developed this tool to help job seekers find hundreds of hiring managers easily and quickly using tools like LinkedIn, Facebook, Google Boolean search, telephone sourcing, image searching. If you want a truly comprehensive job search that leaves no stone unturned, then you can use all of these methods. Each one of them has its own personalized tutorial. This is the easiest way possible for you to find the names and emails of hundreds of hiring managers fast. Now, I've taught this method of finding and contacting hiring managers for several years now, and job seekers from all kinds of career fields have came back to me, and here's what they say. I got 3 interviews in 3 weeks. Or, this helped me get more interviews than I'd gotten in a year of job searching. The Hidden Jobs Finder got them outstanding results, and it will work for you too. Anyone can follow the system and be successful. Let me give you some examples of how this works. Here's a search where I looked for IT sales managers on LinkedIn. Here's another one where I looked for director of operations. And then here I used a Google search, a special Boolean search, to find accounting managers only in DC. Here's another one where I got even more specific. I used a Boolean search looking for regional sales managers in Chicago in medical. And then this is a great one for anybody who's an office manager or an administrative assistant. You need to get in touch with VP level folks. I used a Boolean search to look for VPs of technology in New York. Here's one where I found accounting managers in Dallas, but on Facebook so that I could contact them through Facebook. Now I could use Google to do that as well, or Google Plus as well too. Not only do you get the easy instructions, you also get the instructions as what to say to them, because like 48% of you said, hey, I don't know how to find them, but 41% said, I don't know what to say to them, right? So we saw that this was a problem. Many of you were sabotaging yourself with your messages, so we've came up with the actual scripts that will help you with these conversations. They're proven to consistently get positive results from the hiring manager. They're fresh, energetic, positive, selling messages that you can use in minutes with no stress. Now, these messages are going to improve your overall conversation with the hiring managers through your cover letters, your emails, your follow-ups, everything. You're going to sound more professional and polished throughout the hiring process. And with the Hidden Jobs Finder, you're not going to hit a dead end in your job search ever again. You will find all of the hiring managers you need and uncover great jobs quickly and easily. Think about this. You can use this system anytime you need a new job for the rest of your life. If at some point in the future you need a new job, you get downsized, you find yourself in a job that's not a fit, you're going to have a tool that you need to find the new job because this will be available for the rest of your life. This is the ticket to unbelievable career freedom. How much is career freedom worth for the rest of your life? If you're not looking that far ahead, just think about how nice it would be to find a job easily. In the future, if you got laid off, you wouldn't even need to be stressed. If you don't like your job or you want a new one, you just use the Hidden Jobs Finder and start looking for a great opportunity. Now, the Hidden Jobs Finder guarantees that freedom, and it's only $197. With the Hidden Jobs Finder, at $197, you can have as many interviews as you want to go after. And because you're in this webinar today, I've put together a special deal just for you. If you invest in yourself and your career with the Hidden Jobs Finder, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to give you 3 amazing additional bonuses, absolutely free, and these are to make sure you get the interview and that you get the offer. Bonus number 1, my Extreme Resume Makeover Kit. We got to make sure that resume is strong. This is going to give you a perfect resume. You're going to stand out head and shoulders above the rest. We're going to eliminate any mistakes that are holding you back, and I will actually review your resume for you. Now, you'll be able to go through my whole templates, samples, and the video coaching in about an hour, which is going to save you a lot of time and frustration. And then I'm going to personally review your resume for you. So when you're done, you're going to email it to me. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to tell you if there's anything you need to improve. When you get it back, you're going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you have a strong resume that markets you and gets you interviews. Now, this kit normally sells for $74, the Extreme Resume Makeover Kit, but it's free with this Hidden Jobs Finder, the samples, the coaching, and the review, all of that as your bonus number 1. Bonus number 2, I'm going to give you my LinkedIn profile tutorial. Now, if you're in a job search, you need to have a strong profile on LinkedIn. And this tutorial is going to tell you how to refine your profile so that it sells you. Now, these are specialized instructions. LinkedIn doesn't tell you how to set your profile up in such a way that it will get attention. Your profile is going to start attracting attention from hiring managers and recruitings. They're going to start contacting you, so you'll have yet another way to get some interviews. And the tutorial usually sells on my website for $17, but you're going to get this free as the second bonus with the Hidden Jobs Finder. Now, if you get the interview, you're going to want to get the offer, right? Imagine how amazing it would be to have multiple offers to choose from. And I want to make that happen for you. So we're including in bonus number 3 the Job Interview Miracle Tool, the Career Confidential 30, 60, 90-day plan. Now, my 30, 60, 90-day plan is a step-by-step how-to kit. You get detailed instructions about what to include in your plan, where to find it, how to use it in the interview. Now, there's several key points in the interview where you need to introduce the plan, and I tell you where those are. I tell you what to say and when to bring it up, and even how to respond to their questions about it. You are going to feel extremely confident when you go into your interview. I've been using this plan with thousands of candidates. We have it down to a science. You get a plan that's proven to impress hiring managers. No mistakes. You get a complete fill-in-the-blank template that speeds up the process so that you can have it done in a couple hours. You're going to have sample plans to look at and learn from. You're even going to get a PowerPoint template in case you need to have a flashier presentation. All of this is meaning that you're going to get a stronger, more impressive plan than you could ever do on your own. And just like the Extreme Resume Makeover, I'm going to provide my free personal review of your plan when you've completed it. Before you go to the interview, you email your plan over to me. I'm going to look it over, give you feedback. This is going to make it an easy decision for them to hire you. I want to share with you what Patrice said about this plan. She said, I scored 6 interviews and was presented a generous offer. Your program gave me the edge. I value myself differently. It improved my confidence. How great is that, right? I love her story. She's gained confidence in herself. Think about the boost this is going to give you if you're a new graduate, if you're coming back from a career gap, or if you've been changing careers. Here's what I believe this is Jesse. Peggy, let me tell you, with that plan in my pocket, I felt like the undefeated champion of the world, right? I felt great coming out of the interview. And then he was offered a different position, plus way more than he was asking for, plus benefits. So that's the power of the plan, right? Imagine going into the interview feeling like an undefeated champion of the world. How much better would you perform? Now, you may not have thought about investing in training for your job search, but if you had a spider problem, you'd call an exterminator. If you had a tax problem, you'd call an accountant. If your car wasn't running, you'd get a mechanic to look under the hood. And yes, it does cost to hire those professionals, but it saves you or makes you much more money by avoiding a bigger problem. The exterminator is going to keep the termites from your house, the accountant's going to keep the IRS from your door, and the mechanic is going to keep your car running, which is going to get you to your job, right? The Hidden Jobs Finder and these 3 bonuses are the same, but for your job search. This is your chance to have an expert look under the hood, solve this problem for you, and get you on the road to job search success, like Derek, Patrice, Jesse, and thousands of others. Now, you might be like, hey, Peggy, I can absolutely see how these tools will work, but I'm out of a job. I don't think I can afford $197. And here's what I would tell you. When you get these tools, you're going to get a job at least 4 weeks earlier. Could be 4 months earlier. If you make $30,000 a year, you're going to get an additional $2,500 this year by getting that job 1 month faster with these tools. Even if you were to get a job just a week faster, you'd put an additional $625 in your pocket, which is a very good return on investment. And if you're making $60,000 a year, you got an extra $5,000 check just by shaving off 4 weeks. And if you're over $100,000 a year, if you can shave off 1 month or 4 weeks, you're going to get an extra 10 grand in your pocket. A small investment in yourself will pay off in financial and personal gain, just like it did when you went to college or when you got a certificate that you needed or a specific training. That's what will happen here. This training will change your life. So for the next 24 hours, you can get the Hidden Jobs Finder plus these 3 bonus. It's an exclusive offer for those of you on this webinar. We're about to get to the live Q&A, so hang in there. After 24 hours, the bonuses are gone. Now, you don't have to buy anything. I've spent an hour telling you what you need to do. But if you can't afford to wait a moment longer, if you need to get a job 4 weeks sooner, if you know this is what is going to make the difference, then we need to get this to you. You can get the Hidden Jobs Finder for only $197. You can click on the Pop-ins tab. Carl has put the special there for you. You can click on the Add to Cart button if you need to. With the 3 bonuses, right? Here on the screen you can see everything. The Hidden Jobs Finder, the Extreme Resume Makeover, the LinkedIn Profile Tutorial, the 30, 60, 90. Now if you bought all of these separately, it would cost you $385. But for today, you're getting all of this for $197. That's almost half price. So the price is only available with the link that you have there in the chat. You should have the link in the chat. I'm going there to see. Yes, we do. And also see we have the link under the Pop-ins tab as well, right? So I want to talk to you about another thing that's very, very important. We guarantee your success. If you are not satisfied for any reason, you call us and we'll give you your money back. 100%, 365 days. Why do we do this? Because we know what will happen when you use it. So just to be clear, we're about to get to the live Q&A, but to be clear, the Hidden Jobs Finder, the Extreme Resume Makeover Kit, my review of your resume, the LinkedIn Profile Tutorial, the 30, 60, 90-day plan, and my review of your 30, 60, 90-day plan, and a full 100% money-back guarantee. Now, there's one more bonus here. If you buy today, before midnight today, you're going to get an invitation to a 1-hour group coaching call. And on this call, we're going to work with each one of you individually. What's going on in your job search? Where do you need to focus? How to handle this problem or that? These are so powerful, these calls. I get great feedback from these. So if you purchase the Hidden Jobs Finder kit before midnight tonight, you'll also get invited to the 1-hour group coaching call next week. So You can have all 4 tools, all of these tools, no wait, no shipping. It's electronically delivered. It's instantly accessible. You don't have to pay for the shipping or wait. You're ready to go now. I'm ready for you to have success now. You're going to have instant access to everything. You could be contacting hiring managers by tomorrow. So if you know this is going to move you forward, get you toward that goal of getting your job, putting money back in your pocket, if you know you need a mechanic to help you look under the hood and tell you what's going on, then you can use MasterCard, Visa, or Discover. We're a completely secure website, like doing business with Amazon. And we do not share your information with anyone. Nowhere. So you can click the Add to Cart button, fill in your information, place your order, and you're done. After you submit your information, we're going to send you your exclusive login credentials. It's going to have a username and an access code so that you can get to your tools. Your tools will be in the membership section of my website. You log in there with the credentials in your email, watch the instruction video, and then you can browse through all of the tools and resources. You can watch the training videos, print out the templates, download the handouts, everything. I've set it up this way because I want you to have instant access to the tools and training from any internet connected computer in the world. You don't have to wait for shipping. You can get your tools now. So let's get you guys a job quick. All of this training does exactly what I'm telling you it will do. This is going to give you the advantage that you need in your job search. And there's no way for you to understand what a difference this will make for you until you try it. Now, remember that we said that we were going to have a drawing for 10 people for a 1-hour group coaching call next week? If you're still here, you are eligible for that drawing. We will randomly choose 10 people, and to respect everyone's privacy, we'll just send an email out to the winners in a few hours. I'd like to congratulate the winners in advance and say that I'm looking forward to speaking with you. Now, if you don't win and you're disappointed because you need some personalized advice, I'd like to encourage you to investigate either purchasing personal coaching time with me. And Charity, can you put the coaching link into the chat for them? Personal coaching time with me, or consider joining our Total Access Coaching Club. This club is a very special club. We meet every other Thursday. We'll be meeting again tomorrow. We answer questions live on those webinars, and we do a short presentation on a very relevant job search topic, and all of those are recorded and archived, so you can have access to over 100 hours of training there in our Total Access Club, plus that personalized call every other week. Now, I told you guys the best part of the webinar is the live Q&A. Everybody looks forward to that, so we are at that point now. So what I'm going to do is turn on my webcam and start looking at your questions. So you guys can start putting the questions in. I guess we probably need to go to the Q&A slide, Charity. And I'm pulling up the questions. Here we go. Okay, so I don't see those yet. Hold on here, and here's my webcam. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see me on the webcam. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you so much for hanging in with us so far. While I'm getting those questions, I want to go ahead and tell you how you can contact us via the phone. If you want to talk to a live person from Career Confidential, give us a call. Outside the United States, you'll need to call 972-382-3139. Again, 972-382-3139. If you're inside the United States, you need to call 800-691-2562. Again, 800-691-2562. So hopefully that will help. We'd love to get your phone calls. And I'm going to go over here and get my questions. Okay. Greg. Hi, Greg. How are you doing? Here's your question. What if the company passes your resume to a recruiter and they don't want to deal with the hiring process? I'm not sure what that means. If the company passes your resume to a recruiter, is that an internal recruiter or an external recruiter? I've never seen one pass them to an external recruiter. So really what they're doing is your resume is going to what they call recruiter, but that's an HR person in their company, a human resource person in their company. And unless, Greg, you're in human resources, that is not going to be a good place for you. You need to apply online, or not apply online. You need to go directly to the hiring manager, the one that would be relevant and specific for you. Okay, Greg? Okay, next question. I see over in the chat someone said Russia is not included in the list. We actually do have a lot of customers in Russia, in Moscow and in St. Petersburg, and I've even done personal coaching with folks in Moscow. So we do have experience there, but it's not one of our top 10, if you will. Carolyn, hi Carolyn, how are you doing? You want to know what's the best approach if the hiring process is not being handled by a search company, either exclusively. Oh, it is being handled by a search company. Okay, either exclusively, retained search, or not. Okay, Carolyn, recruiting, working with a third-party recruiter is quite different than working with the hiring manager. You have to have some special skills or something special about you that's going to make you attractive to them. If they do have a recruiter that's hired to work on this, I still want you to go directly to the hiring manager in all the companies. But if you've already worked with that recruiter or submitted your information to that recruiter, then you need to see if they will present you to the company. Because if they will, that's going to be very powerful for you. But if they're not, then it's not working for you, right? So, Carolyn, I would also suggest that you check out my Amazon page. Just go to Amazon and punch in Peggy McKee, and maybe we can give you the link to that here. I'm not sure if we can get that or not because we got to handle all. We got a lot of other things we got going on with the webinar. But I have a great ebook there on how to work with those third-party recruiters, and I would suggest that you should read that if that's an area that you're working within. Okay. So Belle, hi Belle, how are you doing? How can we present this plan if you're applying for a basic receptionist or customer service position? Just exactly for all other positions. What are you going to do in the first 30 days? You're going to have to learn all the systems that they've got. You got to get to know the people that you're going to support, what the objectives are of the company, and then what are you going to do in the next 30 days, and what are you going to do in the following 30 days? By the way, at that level, it is super impressive that you are confident enough to come to the interview with a plan. You're going to knock them out. They're going to love that. So, Belle, please don't go to another interview without one, all right? Okay. We've got more questions here. Let's see. Not see. Let's see. What? Okay. What do you say to Kevin asked this question. What do you say to the hiring manager on the phone or in an email, or is it better to approach them in person? Hi, Kevin. How are you doing? So it's not better to approach them in person. We're very, very busy people. That is, I mean, you could do that on a few things, but the other problem with that is you wouldn't be contacting enough of them. Remember how I want you to get in front of 100 hiring managers? You can't do that personally. So what you need to say in the phone, if you call them on the phone, or in an email is, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do really well. Do you have a need for this, or do you know someone who will have a need for this? Or can we set up a time to talk about how you handle this in your job? Okay, I hope that helps, Kevin. All right, job seeker. How many quantifiers should you have for each job? I don't know if a quantifier is a word. You're asking, is there a specific place to put the bullet quantification, and how much quantification should you have? So what I would say to you is for every job, you should have at least 2 or 3 numbers, maybe 4 or 5. And if you're in a job that's easily measured, many more. So if you have a job and you don't have any numbers in the bullet points underneath there, did you not accomplish anything that was measurable? So use those numbers. There's not a specific number, Mr. Job Seeker, but the specific place is in the bullet point underneath the job. I hope that helps. Okay. Do we have any more questions here? How can I start applying? So Belle's asking this question. How can I start applying for positions in a different state? I'm in Maryland and I want a position in Florida. We actually just had a candidate from Maryland move to Florida using the Hidden Jobs Finder. He was looking for a sales role there. It's simple. You don't need to see them in person. You're going to start contacting those hiring managers down in the Florida area where you want to be, letting them know I'm moving to Florida. By the way, you might want to get a Florida address unless you need relocation fees. If you put a Florida address on there, you're going to increase your success with that, okay? So I want you to consider doing that. Okay, do we have another question here? I'm sorry, guys. You got to understand when we roll through these, it's difficult to answer them. Oh, let's see. Oh, this is a long one from Alexandra. A little bit more detail about how I call the hiring manager. What would be the best 3 keywords? Okay, so Alexandra Drew is having a hard time figuring out who would be his hiring manager. And if you've already done this job, what was the title of the hiring manager before? Okay, what was the title of the hiring manager if you've already done this job? That's one way. What was the title of the person above that person? That's another one. That should get you a good start. Okay, Peggy, I have 4 versions of a resume. I've rocked the interviews, made note cards. I've even brought the 30, 60, 90-day plan and asked every interviewer if they could see me being successful. They say yes. One of the interviewers was even from my hometown high school. I still didn't get the job. What the heck went wrong? I even was overqualified for the job. I have no idea how I could have improved. I absolutely did my best. Okay, so there is something going on that you don't know or understand. Obviously, that's why you're asking the question. You may need to get some personal time with me. I'll tell you the 2 things, well, there's 3 things that typically are the problem. Number 1, are you talking about salary in these interviews? If you are, that's what's causing your problem. Number 2, you say you brought the 30, 60, 90-day plan. Was it customized, and did you go through it with them? Because if you don't go through it with them, it doesn't do the value for you. Okay? And then the third thing is you say you're asking them if they see you as a successful candidate, but then they're never giving you the job offer and they're saying yes. So I'm thinking that the way you're asking that question isn't the way the way I want you to. Can you see me being successful in the role? Do you see me being a productive member of your team? If they say yes to that, out of 5, you would absolutely have an offer. So there's something else going on, and I think that maybe 30 minutes of my time with you would be very helpful to figure that out, because that's not the way it should go. There's something you're doing that's sabotaging you. Okay. Kara, after an interview, how long do you recommend following up to see if they've made a decision? Well, Kara, first of all, I want you to ask them in that interview what the next steps are. Now, that's not closing, though. I want you to close and say, can you see me being successful in the role as well? Then, if you'd ask what the next steps were, you'd know on your timing of follow-up. But for me, if you've interviewed, you sent a thank you note within 24 hours. If you haven't heard from them in a week and they didn't tell you a time frame, I'm calling them up and saying, hey, I really enjoyed the time meeting with you, and I could see that I could provide a lot of value for your company. I was wanting to know where you are in the process. Do I need to come in and speak with you further? Okay? M, you're going to start a potential new job with a strained relationship with HR, having bypassed them. How do you deal with this? M, if you make it through this process, they probably won't even know that you bypassed them, because the only way it's going to come up that you bypassed them is if the hiring manager sends you back to them, and if he hires you, he loves you, and HR is not going to say a word. Now, if you're in human resources, you could have a problem with that, I guess, but otherwise, no. And you need to know that with human resources, other parts of the organization are not as impacted by them. They don't have as much power over you in other parts of the other organization. But again, they're not going to know that you bypassed them. You're just going to manage to get into the process, and the manager's going to be interviewing you because, and here, I think this is really important to see. If you apply to a job, there's 500 people that go into this big bowl, right? This big bowl of applicants, 500 people. Of those, HR takes out 5, sends them to the hiring manager. Okay? So if you're applying for the job, you have a chance of 1 in 500, right? 1 in 500. If you go to the hiring manager, he's going to see your information, right? So you went from a chance of 1 in 500 of the hiring manager seeing your information to 1 in what? 6. The 5 that HR sent plus you. I'm telling you, and I guess I should have a poll question on this, would you rather be 1 in 500 or 1 in 6? If you can resoundingly say 1 in 6, then you know what I'm telling you will work, and you need to put it into action. Okay? We got another question here. How can you explain a long-term gap? The true reason I resigned to care for a relative, but how can I explain the long-term gap? First of all, it's only a 7-month gap that you're talking about here, right? That's not a long gap. Think of Derek, 5 years. So I don't even consider that a long time. I don't think you need to address it. Make sure that your resume is very, very strong about what you're looking for. When people say, why have you been looking, why have you been out of the search? You say, look, I took time off to care for a relative. That situation is taken care of now, and I'm ready to move back into my professional career and drive forward. Okay, someone's saying, what could we say on LinkedIn so that we don't sound desperate at the job search? Well, you're not desperate. You don't need to sound desperate. On LinkedIn, I want you to message managers directly. So I'm not looking for you to say something in the group or in front of everyone at all. And I definitely don't want you to sound desperate. You have skill sets and you have value. If you find the right person who appreciates that, it's going to be a beautiful marriage for both of you, right? Okay, so we are almost at 30 minutes past the hour, so we're going to have to wrap up here. Someone's asking a question about the blue collar. What about the entry-level warehouse or the factory production? The Obviously the resume, all the rules apply. The contacting the hiring manager, absolutely. You will get way more interviews if you go directly to the hiring manager instead of to in through the application process at that level. It's going to be super successful for you. The 30, 60, 90-day plan, it depends. If you're kind of in a management level, it would work. If you work within something where you're going to have to learn systems, it would work. So like maybe the warehouse, it's possible, production, it would work. Either way, a company is going to appreciate a candidate who tries to think strategically about the job and what has to happen successfully in that job for them to be a success at that work, right? So I want to encourage you, all of that will work for you. Okay. Um, any difference when you're at a senior level, I'm in a VP level, and finding a hiring manager? Only that if you're at VP, then you need to be contacting CEOs, CFOs, CTOs, CIOs, all of those people. And at a VP level, the recruiters might be a possibility for you. I wanted to encourage you to get the book, How to Work Effectively with Recruiters, on Amazon. And at a VP level, you might want to get some personal time to help you with that. But everything applies. It's just that it's a different level that you go in at, and it will be very successful for you. Okay, so we've got to wrap up, guys. It's an hour and a half. I'd love to stay on here more. I really appreciate you guys staying this long. I know that it means a lot to you and that you're working really hard. I'm promising you this will work for you. Give yourself a chance to experience a job search that is effective and successful. Okay, so I'm going to sign off here. Let's go to the resource slides. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, and then I'm going to sign off. First of all, you can get to this resource by clicking on the chat button or the pop-ins tab. You can learn more about our other webinars at careerconfidential.com/training-webinars. If you want personal one-on-one coaching, send me an email at Peggy@careerconfidential. We'll send you the details back. I do have a special. I typically charge $250 an hour. For folks that are on this webinar, if you purchase 2 hours, I'll give you the third hour for free. Most people only need to spend 3 hours with me. I've had some CTOs, CIOs, CFOs spend more time with me, and some folks who had some problems with discussing their value in the interview, but most people only need 3 hours time with me. And I want to encourage you to take a look at the Total Access Coaching Club, because that's a way where you can get my personalized time every other Thursday to answer your questions like this. And you'll get the short presentation on a job search relevant topic. We have over 100 hours of those available to you in the Total Access Coaching Club. Plus, you'll receive a video every week on each specific position or part of the job search. So resume, how to get interviews, cover letters, face-to-face interviews, phone interviews, salary negotiations, all of those we have specialized, customized training in there for you in the Total Access Coaching Club. So I want to encourage you to do that. All right, so thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and spending it with us. What's going to happen now is Carl is going to redirect you. When I close out of the webinar, he will close out of the webinar, and it will redirect you over to that page where you can learn more about how that you can get that hidden jobs finder with those special 4 additional bonuses. I want to encourage you guys, give yourself a chance to have a super successful job search by doing what you know will work, by having an outstanding resume, contacting hiring managers, and crushing those interviews. So I'm going to wish you guys all the best, and I will see you at the top. Bye, guys.